This is where it all started. The National Health Policy envisioned the creation of a National Digital Health Authority. Pardon me, this is the only text-heavy slide. So there won't be so much of text going ahead. Because I thought I had to really point out this major highlight the major aspects of this policy. First thing was the policy recognized the role of technology, things like e-health, m-health, cloud, Internet of Things, the evolution of these wearables, etc., in healthcare delivery, and also the need to regulate, develop, and deploy digital health across a continuum of care. So, right from it's not just about what happens when you fall sick and when you go to a doctor. It's about even before that and also after that. And then the policy advocates extensive deployment of digital tools. So, in order to do this, the policy said that there has to be a federated national health information architecture. I'll come to it in a while, what we mean by federated architecture. And then roll out a link system across states, in the sense like, as we all know, health being a state subject, it's not just that there will be one national level program and then we'll just drive it from the national level. We need cooperation from the states and also from non-state actors as well. And then explore Aadhaar for identification. This was like, interestingly, one of the items that was taken up in the, mentioned in the policy. So basically the digital identity of an individual was envisaged to be part of this entire process, so that there is continuum across the different care contexts that a person is availing. And then there is creation of registries and enhanced public health or big data analytics, etc. That was like an envisioned thing of how this whole ecosystem would foster and how it would be used going ahead. And then, so as a result, what came out was this roadmap. So in 2017 March came the National Health Policy, then came the National Health Stack. This was developed by the NITI, and where it actually defined what are the various components for digital health, where they talked about registries, they talked about consent manager, they talked about health information exchange, they talked about claims exchange, and they said these are all the different components that you need to have. Then the National Digital Health Blueprint that actually designs the framework and gave the guiding principles on both policy and technology came in December 2019. So this is kind of the book by which this whole digital health mission actually got rolling. And then by March 2020, the telemedicine practice guidelines came in. This is a very, very important step, because this was before that there were huge restrictions, and in fact there were court cases where liability, the question of fixing liability for a misdiagnosis or any such case in case of telemedicine, etc., was a major issue. So the telemedicine guidelines actually paved the way for easy telemedicine practice across the country, irrespective of state borders. Then the pilot started. It was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister on 15th August 2020. This pilot ran across 6 union territories, and then the first NDHM, the National Digital Health Mission committee was formed, and then the MSG, the first MSG for NDHM was formed in October 2020. That is, a mission steering group was formed. Finally, once the pilot was successfully completed in these UTs, the national launch was again announced by the Honorable Prime Minister in September 2021, and in about an year and 3 months, we are where we are right now. I'll share the live web page of the ABDM dashboard that will give you an idea of where we are at right now. In fact, interestingly, the cabinet approval came only in February 2022. And finally, the actual MSG, the mission steering group chaired by the health minister, was formed in 2022 August. So this is how the policy and the whole evolution of the digital mission evolved. Earlier it was called the National Digital Health Mission. It got renamed as the Ayushman Bharat Health Mission as the 4 pillars of Ayushman. The Ayushman Bharat Wellness, Health and Wellness Centers, Ayushman Bharat PMJAY, Ayushman Bharat infrastructure, the infrastructure program, and then the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. These are the 4 Ayushman pillars that are aimed at improving health access, healthcare delivery, etc. The Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission came out with this vision. The vision, again, it has to be, shown the way it is, so therefore the text here again. The idea is to create a digital health ecosystem that supports universal health coverage. So, in fact, the universal health coverage and how we are going to, how we want to do it, etc., and what are the various different components, I'll also cover as part of this. And the more important part of this was, the idea was to provision a wide range of data, information, and infrastructure services, leveraging open, interoperable, and standards-based digital systems. I think this is the most important part. Otherwise, digitization has been happening in our country for quite some time. Digitization has happened in silos. Digitization has happened through proprietary systems. You know, today, even before we started this mission, Apollo hospitals, all Apollo hospitals were connected. They had a very good, very well-oiled digital system, and the entire data was available. Even we and we are all sufficiently senior enough where we've all tried some sort of digitization in our district hospitals, in our various programs, but then there were no specific standards, the systems were not really interoperable, and then the standards necessarily were not open. And at the same time, it also gave us a mandate that the core principles were to ensure security, confidentiality, and privacy of the health-related personal information. So based on that, we have certain core guiding principles on the technology front and on the domain front. On the technology front is there has to be a single source of truth. And this is the first most important thing, and this is where the Aadhaar-based authentication or use of Aadhaar comes in, and this is where the digital registries come in. So as part of the digital mission, there are registries that we have made. I'll show you in the tech stack what they are. And then these are supposed to be one single source of information, be it about doctors, be it about health facilities, be it about individuals, or be it about any kind of health information providers or health information users. And then the second one is federated architecture. The idea of federated architecture being data is not expected to be stored in one single place. So this is to give an assurance and give a confidence to every player of the ecosystem that there is no intention of government to pull in this data, put it somewhere, use it for any other purpose. Data, you go to Apollo, your data stays with Apollo wherever Apollo decides to put it. You go to AIIMS Delhi, data stays with AIIMS Delhi wherever AIIMS Delhi wants to keep it. And then open APIs and interoperability, I've already mentioned to you. The idea, and then the INDA framework is the broad framework, India Enterprise Architecture Framework, that sets out guidelines as to how enterprise scale systems in India should be. So these are the guiding principles on the technology side. On the domain side, like I said, privacy and security by design. So this is by default. It's not something that one is trying to impose. Privacy and security are a core function, and that is the whole design is made in that way. The second is user inclusivity. We all know about the limitations of technology in terms of where it is accessible, how many people can access it, although it is like we are covering larger and larger areas of our country by connectivity and use of smartphones and use of data in general. But there are still pockets, and there are still such populations who are not able to use these technologies. Therefore, the whole idea was to make sure that this ecosystem is user inclusive. So things like offline registrations, offline creation of information, and things like being able to do it in a way that even somebody who is not relatively tech savvy should be able to use it. And the third point is voluntary participation. So there is nothing forced about it. The idea is to create what we call a FOMO, the fear of missing out. You create a system that is so good, that is good enough that people want to be part of this. And lastly, it is wellness centric. Like I said, it's not just about being what happens when you fall sick. It's about what happens before that and what happens after that. So this is the holistic approach that has been taken while building the digital, while developing on this mission. And the adoption principle is about think big, that is you plan for big things, start small, like we did with the pilots, and then scaling up, and then scale very fast.